Yo, guys, now that I understand what I understand now, when it comes to God's timing and his justice, when it comes to especially people who are like narcissists and who have done you wrong, guys, when I tell you God's timing is perfect, God's timing is perfect. Now, I know I know it's so unfair that I'm talking like this. I know that it's so unfair that I'm actually talking like this, especially people that knew me, because I could not wait for justice. I was like, no, when is it going to be? When is this person ever going to get exposed? Because he's out here pretending to be not who he is, and he's known for this person who's Mr. Goody Goody, and he's not. When are we going to get justice? Let me tell you an example when it comes to P. Diddy. Let me use P. Diddy as an example. If you already know me, you already know I always use him as an example. God waits for a perfect time when all kind of evidence has been out. Like, you can't even be delusional. When it comes to P. Diddy, there was so much evidence on the internet. So what I'm trying to say is, even though people were turning a blind eye, but when everything was collected, there is no way you could have easily said, no, they are wrong for this. God wait for that perfect timing. Look at Trump. Trump is already exposed. Like, it's like God waits for that time when everything that has been hidden is now starting to show. Because what is karma without things being exposed? What is karma without everything being exposed? One thing about narcissists that I love so much, they expose themselves. God wait for the time where a narcissist relaxes so much, thinking that they're untouchable. Well, he waits for the time where a narcissist person feels like they are God themselves. The minute they're now free because they feel they're untouchable. When they feel untouchable, that is when they start to expose themselves. Are you hearing what I'm saying? When narcissists start to feel untouchable, this is when they freely expose who they are. Because in their own mind, they're untouchable. And no one is going to question them of anything. So the minute they feel they're untouchable, this is where they freely become themselves to anybody, for everyone to witness once everyone starts observing them. And even if you yourself have been talking about that narcissist and people are listening to you, and then they start paying attention to him because he's now free because he thinks he's untouchable, those people who paid attention to you, they start observing the narcissist. And because the narcissist is living his best life, so he thinks. This is when he starts being himself. And when he's being himself, this is when he starts showing that evil, devilish side of his. And God waits for that perfect timing. Because remember, for the most part, a narcissist pretends to be what he's not. They pretend. But once they start to feel free, like they're not getting caught in that game that they're playing, then they start relaxing. And the minute they start relaxing, they let their guard down. And when they let their guard down, they start exposing themselves. Exactly like how President Trump is moving these days, you know? So exactly like how P. Diddy started to move before he got exposed, he was sent to jail. He was starting to be free. He was starting to talk recklessly. He was starting to talk questionable things, like you could pick up from what he's saying, like, Haibo, this man is into... Like, if you were paying attention to him, and you were observing him, you were starting to say, "What's high coin? This dude is into men," you know. So it's that time when the cookie is already crumbling without a narcissist noticing that the cookie is already crumbling. So God wants that to happen first. God wants this evidence that has been hidden behind closed doors to start being seen by many people before the biggest bomb goes like boom, you know. And that's the good way of doing it, because narcissists have a tendency of playing that game of hiding who they are, because when it comes to the community, they have created a different perception of being Mr. Good Guys when they're not. So God waits for that time when the cookie slowly starts to crumble, when everyone is starting to question their behavior, when everyone is starting to observe their behavior. And then remember, even those who are observing their behavior, they're not speaking out loud. They're gossiping like, "Hey, Mo, it's in Indo. It's in Indo." Everyone is starting to speak like hush, hush, though. When everybody speaks hush, hush, they're still not getting too exposed because everyone is speaking hush, hush about them. And when the biggest bomb of the cookie crumbles and takes a big, like, boom, then this is when everyone now gets to relax. That's when everyone starts to have a comfortable conversation about that narcissist. That's when everyone starts to come and says, I got yena naye nje, hayi bese simbonile. It's these people laba abakhuluma late, abaqale basabukhuluma, who allow this thing to take kind of like longer to be exposed the way that it needs to be exposed. I don't know if I'm making sense. It's easy for those people when the cookie finally crumbles and when God finally now starts to drop a big bomb to expose a narcissist. That is when then everyone starts to say, hey, we've been seeing, we've been picking up this and that and that and that. And then that is when everyone starts to now say, you, who the narcissist has been telling everyone that you are the crazy one, that is when everyone now starts to saying, oh, so that person was never crazy. Because now everything gets super, super exposed. So God waits for that timing. So if you are in impatience with your time, just know that God does this thing so perfectly, to a point that even if his own people are trying so hard to be delusional about what that narcissist done, they can't even be delusional because everyone is looking at them like, come on now, come on. So yes, that's what's up.